I'm sorry. This video is gonna be so negative. Like, oh my goodness. This vlog is not going well. Jeez. And I know what you're thinking, like, girl, what did you expect? You're reading romance tropes you hate. But I didn't think it would be this painful.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb.
There's no romance. What's the point? Just kidding. Maybe.
Yo, it's Ann, aka Antagonist. Welcome back to my channel. We reading books today. 3 romance books to be exact, but the gag is I'm gonna exclusively be reading romance books that have tropes I hate in them. Ooh. Hate is a strong word. I don't know if I can truly hate a trope for real, because I do honestly believe at the end of the day that execution is what matters and any trope can be written well. However, with these tropes, for me, it's like 99% of the time, the execution is dookie. It's just that the things that need to happen or what happens most often to make the trope fit in the story just doesn't vibe with me. It's not my cup of tea. Not a fan. I don't like it. But at the end of the day, I love romance and I'm not a hater, so I've set these tropes up for success. I only chose books that have generally positive reviews around them to give each trope the best chance and to see if I might change my mind about them with these books. And because I'm a little nerd and I used to attach my value to my academic success, I will be giving each book a grade based on 3 criteria, which will be 1, did the book fall into the traps of the trope, aka the stuff that I don't like? 2, did the trope help the story? Did it make the romance better? Did it make it more interesting? And then the 3rd category will just be my overall enjoyment of the book. Each of those will be scored out of 10 for a possible high score of 30. 'Cause math.
That's my opinion!
Let's get into it. The first trope on the chopping block is second chance romance, and its defender will be Happy Place by Emily Henry. Full disclosure, I already started the book before I filmed the intro. Do y'all want to see these videos on time or do you want me to be authentic? But I need to highlight the reasons that I don't like second chance romance. I'd say my first turnoff for second chance romance is the breakup part. Usually people break up for pretty good reasons, and I tend to side on you should just leave it be. Like, let it lie. Don't go back. Don't go blasting from the past. Don't blast from the we don't need to blast. Oh my goodness. We don't need a blast from the past, okay? All I'm saying is that usually when a couple breaks up, it's for good reason. And then sometimes the reason they break up is like stupid, like a little miscommunication or some kind of like misunderstanding. But that makes me side-eye them even more as a couple because y'all couldn't figure that out before. It doesn't make me confident in their ability to last as a couple, which I do need in a romantic pairing when I'm reading a romance book. I'd like to believe that my couple could stay together. Second turn off is gonna sound really mean, but like when I'm reading second chance romance, I just get like y'all already tried this and you failed. Like, leave me out of your mess. Leave me out of your mess. It really makes me feel like, why am I involved in grown people's business? Y'all need to figure that out, sort it out, do your thing. I don't need to be involved. My third turnoff is I like to see how people met. I want to witness it. I'm nosy. I want to be there. And sometimes with second chance romance, we don't get that, which is kind of a bummer. Like, I need to witness it. I don't want you to just recount, oh, the first time I saw, like, I needed to be there or else it didn't happen. One of the bigger issues I find with second chance romance is that it's sometimes used as a substitute to creating organic chemistry between characters in the present. And it's like used as a way to earn brownie points with readers. Like, oh my gosh, look, they used to like each other, so like obviously they like each other now. Like, sis, I used to like ketchup on rice. Does that mean I'm bringing that back? No. And last point is I love slow burns. Love them. And second chance kind of takes that away because the part of slow burn is that they take so long to get together. And with second chance romance, they've been together. So it kind of breaks the tension for me in a way. Now, I do think there are a few exceptions or ways that can help change my mind about them. Like the first second chance romance that comes to mind that I actually enjoyed was The Parent Trap. And even though it falls into a lot of the issues that I have with second chance romance, I just find that the chemistry between the 2 leads was good. So it gave. So I would say just like insane chemistry between the characters. A lot of times too, I fear that the chemistry that they had before is better than the chemistry they have now. So you have to keep that chemistry consistent throughout the whole story and throughout all the stages of their romance. So That's a tough task, but if you're able to do that, you might be able to win me over. Another thing, showing me how they met. You're automatically going to get points for that. If you don't show me how they met, you've already set up your book for failure. Like, I'm already disinterested. Yep. Sorry. Yep. If there's like yearning and pining and longing behind the scenes, think Jane Austen's Persuasion vibes. Like, oh, like you think this man doesn't care anymore. Like, he's done with that. And like, secretly, he's been dying behind the scenes. Specifically, like the male character, because y'all know I love a tortured male love interest. Like, I love it when they go through pain.
Trauma, PTSD, trauma.
Another thing that can help is having a lot of time between the breakup and when they meet again to have the second chance part. Like, if y'all just broke up 2 months ago, I'm not inclined to think that you've changed or improved yourself in those 2 months. But if it's been like years, like a long time, I do see that you can be very different people and you can possibly start a relationship anew. Like, I am not the same person that I was 10 years ago. So I can definitely see how people can change and come back into a relationship and somehow still fit. But if there wasn't a lot of time between the breakup and then when they're trying to get back together, I'm more inclined to think that this is like some kind of toxic codependency type relationship. So lots of time between gives what it's supposed to have gave. And the last thing that you can do to improve the trope is combine it with a trope that I like better. Ooh, like I really like rivals to lovers. So if you had like they dated before and then now they find themselves being rivals in some kind of competition, like, ooh, that might be spicy. Now we're talking. Like, now I can overlook the second chance part. Okay, so I've made it exactly to the 61% mark in Happy Place. I feel like I should preface this with my history with Emily Henry. I've read all her books. I really liked People We Meet on Vacation. I liked Beach Read a lot as well. Unpopular opinion, I did not like Book Lovers. I did not have fun. Tell me why Charlie is a whole love interest, but he felt like a side character in the story. Like, Homeboy had as much screen time as Nora's annoying sister. But overall, I really enjoy Emily Henry's writing. I think she's really good at writing banter between characters. And she just has a really crisp and clean writing style, which I enjoy. So I feel like I am setting second chance romance up for success by having her backing it up. That being said, am I enjoying this book? I'm okay, but my excitement for this book is slowing down. So if you don't know what Happy Place is about, it's about Harriet, who's like a doctor and surgeon, and she used to be engaged to Win, some guy she met at college, and they are all part of a big friend group. And they broke up and haven't told their friends yet, and they were planning to announce it before the cottage trip that they usually take with their friend group. But then their friend lets them know that they're selling the beach house. So they don't want to ruin the vibes. So they pretend that they're still dating while the trip happens and they'll just like break the news after. Which I think is clever to combine second chance with fake dating. That gives it like a fresh new spin and it makes things more interesting. I do feel like this book suffers a little bit from not really having a plot. Like we keep hitting the same beat over and over again. Like, honestly, I'm reading pages upon pages of edging. That's what it is. I feel that my motivation to keep reading is because I want to find out what happened to get them to break up. I will say the best thing that the book has going for it right now is that we're switching from the past and the present. Am I kind of in love with Win and Harriet as a couple from the past? Yes. Like, I think it's so cute. I think their romance is so sweet. Like, they really have this friends to lovers, slow burn angst in the past that I eat it up. I eat it up. But like seeing them now today just kind of makes me sad. Like you've ruined the fairy tale. You've ruined the fairy tale. I also think the fact that they were engaged and broke up is what's really bringing me down because that makes things like the stakes so much higher. Because engaged, like to break that off, that's a big deal. I don't know. I don't know. And they've been broken up for 5 months. That's not that much time. Ooh. Like, y'all were going to get married. I'm really scared that when I find out why they broke up, I'm not going to be rooting for them as a couple. I'm so worried because I really want to like this. Oh, Miss Emily, Miss Henry, please deliver, because Win and Harriet from the past make me believe in true love. And I didn't come here to get my heart broken. I just did not. I did not. So I finally finished Happy Place, which was the official representative of Second Chance, and I have thoughts, lots of thoughts. But first, let's see how it held up against the criteria that I talked about. So, dealing with the first criteria, did Happy Place fall into the traps and have the issues that I don't like with second chance romance? Or did it do the things that I suggested to improve the trope? So, to start off positive, Happy Place did combine second chance romance with the trope I liked better, which is fake dating. So, I think that really helped the book to keep it more engaging. It definitely gets some points there. Also, this book switches from past and present timelines. So we actually do get to see how Harriet and Wynn met for the first time. And we get to see like a couple of scenes throughout their relationship, even before they got together. So definitely points for that. And I really like my favorite parts of the book, I would say, are the parts where they met. Like that whole part was stellar. But other than that, I think Happy Place fell into the biggest traps and issues that I have with second chance romance. The reason for the breakup did not serve the Wynn and Harriet ship. Also, they had only been broken up for 5 months when this book starts, and considering that they were in a long-term relationship for years and were engaged, 5 months is nothing. So, not that much time passed between the breakup. All in all, for this category, I'm gonna give Happy Place a 6 out of 10. They did a lot of things to help the second chance romance, but then still ultimately fell flat at the end. Criteria number 2, is the trope good for the story? No, it's not. It's very obvious throughout the book that we're trying to question if love is enough to make a relationship last. Like, just because two people really care for each other and have chemistry, is that enough to make a relationship work? The mature, dare I say, correct answer is that no, love isn't enough. People love each other every day and aren't able to make relationships work because there are several other factors that play into a couple's compatibility. It's very challenging and admirable to address this topic, but I think that the second chance romance piece of the story forced Emily Henry to take a whimsical, hallmarky approach to it. And I think that's the problem with second chance romance, because I can be delulu. Like, if you sit me down in whimsical world, I will stay seated and I will be there. But with second chance, you immediately take me out of that fantasy world because a breakup happened. And breakups by nature are like serious and realistic. So now I'm no longer in whimsical world and you need to convince me that everything's okay, because clearly you just showed me that everything's not okay. So in this category, I would say Happy Place gets a 4 out of 10. Now for overall enjoyment, I'll say a 6 out of 10. Throughout the middle of the story, we kept hitting the same beat over and over again, and I didn't really understand where the story was going. And then the ending ultimately fell very flat for me. So, like, out of all the couples Emily Henry has ever written, this is the couple I'm rooting for the least. The least. Like, when I talked about being in love with Wynn and Harriet from the past, it's because it was an escape from what was going on in the present. I was like, who are these people? Especially Wynn, because at the beginning of the book, I really didn't understand him, like at all. So a lot of my motivation to continue reading the book was hoping that when we found out why the breakup happened and how it happened, it would redeem Wynn and make me understand their situation a lot more. I know this has nothing to do with it, but I thought it was going to give like Queen Charlotte, episode 4, where we find out what George has been going through and you're like, oh wait, he's actually my favorite. That's what I was expecting. I just wanted the reason for their breakup to clarify everything for me so that I would be rooting for them as a couple. The reason for the breakup did exactly the opposite. Not only did their breakup make me continue disliking Wynn, but it made me side-eye Harriet as well. It's clear that Wynn is the type of person who needs a lot of emotional support. But nothing that happened in the 5 months that they broke up or through her arc in the story indicates to me that she would be able to support him if the same thing were to happen again.
That's it! I've had it with you and your emotional constipation!
Would I recommend this book to people who are not big fans of second chance romance? Especially if you have all the same issues that I have with second chance, this book is not going to help. I would not recommend it if you're not a fan of second chance romance. So the other trope I'll be exploring is celebrity romance. Yeah, I don't like this trope. I avoid it like the plague. Unfortunately, it graced my screen quite a lot back in my Disney days. It was like in every other show, I'd say. I'll just jump right into why I don't like it. First things first, I'm the realist. I feel like, especially when it's celebrity, With a normie, the celebrity person gets pedestalized by the normie because the person's a celebrity, so they feel like, oh, I'm unworthy, or I could never be with them. Or they could be a fan, so they just naturally pedestalize that person. And I just don't think that dynamic is very interesting in a relationship. Dare I say it's kind of damaging to a relationship, so I don't really like that dynamic. And most of the time, the guy is the celebrity, so it's the girl pedestalizing the guy in the relationship.
Awful. It's awful.
My second issue with it is that I just think it's really unrealistic. Usually the way it happens doesn't really make sense. And it just doesn't seem romantic to me. Like, if we're being real about what dating a celebrity would be like, it doesn't sound appealing to me. They would probably be away traveling all the time. Their fans are probably vicious, sending you death threats. And if they cheat on you, everybody knows. Please. Doesn't seem worth it to me. The cons outweigh the pros to me. Also, it's really hard to convince me that they're gonna last as a couple. When a celebrity's involved in a couple, it just seems unlikely that it's going to be lasting long term. So sorry, respectfully, to all celebrities out there. Also, I don't really care about celebrity romances in books because they're not an actual celebrity. And I feel like all the lore that they have to build to make them famous is just cringy. When I'm reading, like, they try to explain what kind of movie they were in, I'm literally cringing. It's like you have to make up fan fiction for this guy to star in. Yeah. Ooh. Ah. I don't know. I don't know why it just gets me, but it's just... it feels like a joke. Can't take you seriously. I just can't take you seriously. Also, another thing I don't like, to try to do the opposite of the, oh, she pedestalized the celebrity, they often have the lady character not be a fan of his work. You're like, ooh, like, she's special. She doesn't, like, love your work. But that's also not cute. Like, why would I want to be with someone who's not a fan of my career? Like... what? Literally in any other scenario, that would be weird. Like, oh, a doctor's dating a girl who doesn't really appreciate doctors. Like, what? If I was famous for something, I'd want you to also enjoy it, at least be, a fan of it. But a lot of times they're like, ugh, his music is so corny. I'm like, why would you want to date someone who thinks that about your art? That's like really bad. Last but not least, I don't like extremely good-looking male love interests. I don't trust good-looking men by nature. So if they're like good enough to be a celebrity, untrustworthy. Nitpicky, but I don't care. It's true. Now, ways that we can help fix the celebrity romance trope. I think if it's a celebrity dating another celebrity, I don't really have as much issues with that because now you're peers. So like if two actors are dating each other, I'm fine with that. That's not really an issue for me. Honestly, it's giving workplace romance at that point. So, ooh, what would be cute is like if the actor dates the person who makes like original soundtracks for films. Like, that's cute. That's cute because same industry, there's like that common understanding. And yes, that person's still a normie like behind the scenes, but I think they're less likely to pedestalize the celebrity because, they're probably around them quite a lot. And they would have an appreciation for the work that they both do without it being like in a creepy fan way. It would just be an authentic, like, yeah, I think the work you do is really good. Somebody write that. Somebody write that down and give me the credit. Also, you can always combine it with the trope I like better. Like maybe celebrity romance meets slow burn. That might work. Why did I just fall? Ooh, like they grew up together and then the person becomes a celebrity, but they're still like, ooh. Somebody write that down as well and give me the credit. Maybe if the girl is a celeb, I'll like it more. Nah, because a lot of times she's like with a normie dude and he's like annoying, and it reminds me of Always Be My Maybe, like how insecure that guy was when she was like a celebrity chef, a boss. Yeah, no, I scratch that. I don't believe that. So the representative of celebrity romance will be the bodyguard. I'm already halfway through the book. It's cute so far. Like there have been times I've been smiling and I'm like, "Oh." And I kind of like what's happening. Like it's a very original plot. So essentially our main character Hannah is a bodyguard. She's essentially helping a retired actor because he has a stalker, so she's, being security for him. But he has to go back home to take care of his mother, who's going through rounds of treatment for breast cancer, I believe. And he doesn't want to cause his mother any stress or have her thinking that something's wrong. So he wants Hannah to pretend to be his girlfriend and not his bodyguard. So that's a pretty like unique scenario. And it's the first fake dating celebrity book that I've read, I believe, So I think that's also working in its favor. But I'll probably check back with you guys when I finish the book. I'm actually taking a road trip tomorrow, going to Montreal, so I will have more time to read then. I'll update you guys on my thoughts in the next clip. I just finished The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, which was the representative for celebrity romance. So let's see how it holds up to the criteria. First, did it fall into the issues that I usually have with the trope, or did it do some things right? I will say the trope didn't bother me in this story. Like, I almost barely noticed it. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he's a retired actor. Like, he didn't feel like a celebrity for the majority of the book. And we didn't see him in that light while Hannah was getting to know him. So it helped their development feel more organic. Like it just felt more natural, like two people just meeting regularly, even though the circumstances are still very strange. But it felt less contrived and weird like it would feel when you're meeting like a megastar and you're going to Hollywood premieres or I don't know what. So yeah, that worked. I also didn't mind or cringe as much at the lore that they built to make him, a celebrity. Like they mentioned a couple books, specifically The Unhoneymooners, as if it had been adapted into a film, and Jack is the celebrity guy and the love interest in this book. He starred in the Honeymooners movie, so I actually thought that was kind of funny. If you know anything about me, I really like The Unhoneymooners. It's like a 5-star read for me, so that actually worked. And I wasn't cringing at the lore. Another thing the book did well was combining it with another trope. So it had fake dating. So that works to make it more palatable to my trope tongue.
What?
It worked. It helped make the story more interesting in that way. To get into some negative stuff, she definitely was pedestalizing him as a celeb. But I will say it wasn't more pedestalizing than how women pedestalize like super good looking men. So yeah, I feel like that wasn't as bad. Still though, on a worse note, she was pedestalizing any other women that he would have run in his celeb circle. And it did get a little like cringy when she would comment on, the fact that they probably had a bunch of like plastic surgery. Like, I don't like that talk. Like, it was very much like, I'm natural, but I'm ugly. And those girls try hard. That rhetoric, that narrative, gross. I don't like that kind of stuff. If I had to give it a rating, I would say a respectable 8 out of 10. Now, the next question is the trope good for the story? This one's a little tricky because if you do take out the celebrity element of this story, the plot doesn't really make sense because the whole idea is that she's his bodyguard. And if you did take away that celebrity aspect, it would take away the need for the bodyguard, or at least the believability of him needing a bodyguard, because I'm not really going to be convinced that some regular person would need that, and they wouldn't be able to afford it, honestly. That's probably the biggest part. You could have him be like a billionaire or the child of a political figure, but I will agree that celebrity is much more interesting, and it actually does work to help the plot of the story. Honestly, it probably is. Like I actually, like, upon reflection, it probably is. So I'll give it another 8 out of 10. I don't think it like elevates the story. I don't think it makes it like that's like that would be a 10 out of 10. But it is pretty good for the story. So I'll say 8 out of 10. It does make things more interesting. Now, this is the part where the book is going to be losing some points. I feel like the premise of this book is super interesting and it's really good. And I think that's why It works with the tropes that it has. Like it sets it up for success. However, the execution, my overall enjoyment of this book would probably be a 6 out of 10. I wasn't really bought into the romance. It felt really surface level and shallow. The Bodyguard is very rom-com, lighthearted, super like cheesy type of romance. But as soon as the book tries to get even a little bit serious, like this book is trying to be fun. And when it is trying to be fun, I'm having a good time. Like I have a little on my face while I'm reading. So that's good. But as soon as it tries to be romantic, it bombs hard. They felt like friends to me the entire time. I did not see any of their romantic tension. I cannot tell you what these two actually like about each other to the point where they would date each other. And just, I had some issues with the writing style. If you're not familiar with the popular saying of show don't tell, it's like a storytelling philosophy that you should have your audience experience things rather than you telling them. So instead of asserting information, you want to have them experience that information. And this book suffers from telling me things rather than showing me things. So telling me that they're so in love rather than showing me that they are in love. I'm sorry. This video is going to be so negative. Like, oh my goodness. This vlog is not going well. Jeez. And I know what you're thinking. Like, girl, what did you expect? You're reading romance tropes you hate. But I didn't think it would be this painful. I didn't. Like, the two books I chose are between 4 to 4.5 on Goodreads. Like, I was expecting these books to give, and I've been disappointed twice now. Not a single one of these books is going to be above 3 stars. I can take. I don't know how much more of this I can take. This is not fun. I'm gonna need to do a reading romance tropes I love video to compensate because I can't. I'll see you guys in the next clip where I talk about the last trope I'll be reading. I just had a filming day today, so your girl is tired. The last trope that will be in this video is the Groundhog Day trope. The Groundhog Day trope is when a character experiences the same events or the same day over and over again. And the name of the trope comes from the film Groundhog Day, in which the main character relives the same day over and over again until he fixes his ways. Usually that's the idea, is that the character keeps reliving a usually bad day of their life until they fix something about themselves or learn something about themselves. To be fair, that's not a romance trope, that's just a general trope, but it's being put in this video because I'm going to be reading a romance book that has this trope. So, still counts. What do I not like about this trope? Well, it's repetitive. The entire premise of the trope is the repetition part. I find that gets really tiring real quick, and I might get bored. Like, I'm like, dang, the same thing's finna happen. Again. I also think the magical aspect of it can take me out of the story. I do like romances that are grounded in some kind of reality, and I don't know, that magic of some sort does take me out of it to a certain extent. Third reason why I don't like it is that you're not actually able to see the couple in their day-to-day lives because they're kind of living the same day over and over again. So really, I'm not getting to see what they would be like in a regular condition. Almost what you get with forced proximity, but like on steroids, because they're just living the same, 12 hours over and over again. So I find that it can be hard to develop that romance there. What can help fix it? As usual, if you combine it with a trope I like better. It seems like the universal band-aid, but it makes sense. If you add another aspect that I'm gonna like a lot more, then it can change my mind about the story. Another thing that can help it, good writing. I feel like that's a bit of a cop-out, but I don't know. I think this trope is probably one of the harder ones on this list to make work for romance specifically as well. So good writing is more necessary than maybe the other tropes that I've had in this video. The book that will be representing Groundhog Day trope is See You Yesterday by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I absolutely loved Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon, like 5 stars. And I'm hoping that I'm going to like this book as equally. Again, I doubt it because it has the trope I don't like, but I'm hoping that I'm pleasantly surprised because I need it. All right, see you in the next clip. Okay, we have to finally wrap this video up because it feels like I've been filming this for ages, which I probably have. I actually just came back from watching Barbie. Do y'all like my outfits? Pretty cute, pretty cute. Support the WGA, SAG-AFTRA. I stand with the writers and the actors, pay them their fair wages.
Yup.
Anyways, this is about books. I finally finished See You Yesterday by Rachel Lynn Solomon, which was the representative of the Groundhog Day trope. I think I forgot to explain what the premise of this book is. But essentially, See You Yesterday is about Barrett Blossom, who is entering her first year of college, and she keeps reliving the first day over and over again. But she finds out that some guy in her physics class, who she didn't get along with on the first day, has actually been stuck in the loop for like months on end now. And she's just somehow joined him in the loop as well. And then these two team up to try to see if they can escape the loop. So let's see how it held up to the criteria. Did it fall into the traps or issues that I usually have with the trope? I'd say that this book did a pretty good job of evading a lot of the issues I have with the trope. Groundhog Day plots are really repetitive, and obviously it did have some of that in the book, but I think the author did a really good job of changing what the characters did on each day to make it less repetitive. As soon as we kicked into realizing we were stuck in the loop, I think the book had a lot more fun. Unlike other Groundhog Day tropes that I've seen in usually movies, I don't really read that many books about them, but usually the person kind of goes through the same motions of the day and just slightly changes their habits, versus this character immediately alongside her male love interest were doing completely different things each day. And I found that really, really fascinating. They were going on road trips. They were doing a lot of like crazy fun stuff because they knew that there would be no consequences the next day. So I really felt that made it more enjoyable because I wasn't reading the same day over and over again. The characters were doing completely different things. They were making really different decisions. I didn't mention this when I talked about my issues with the trope, but See You Yesterday did something well that I feel like I should add. They had both characters stuck in the loop, and I think that really added to the better romance plot. In Groundhog Day, the main character is in the loop by himself and he just keeps interacting with his love interest over and over again. And I feel like that makes a really inorganic, uneven relationship between the character and their love interest, because this character now knows a lot about their love interest, but their love interest doesn't know that same information about them and they don't retain the same memories, which can be really weird. Versus in this book, both characters are stuck in the loop and they're reliving the same day together. So I think it leans more on forced proximity rather than just like getting to know someone in a one-sided way. That I really enjoyed, and I think that worked well for the book in evading some of the issues that can come with the Groundhog Day trope. Also, I would say there was good writing. I think Rachel Lynn Solomon has a really good writing style, and I think she really immerses you into the story, and it kept me pretty captivated as a reader. I found that there was a lot of depth and layers to the characters, which made the story much more enjoyable. So good writing obviously can fix anything, but I really think Rachel Lynn Solomon in this book used good writing and good character arcs to embellish and enrich the story in a way that was really fun for readers. Also, when it came to the magic system, they kind of leaned into more of a scientific physics type of answer to why they were in the loop, like very much like a time travel-y, multiple dimensions crashing, and there's like a portal or a break in the waves, like mix Stranger Things and then the explanation in Endgame together, and you get what happened. So the magic thing wasn't as much of a play, which actually worked, and I think it was a really unique take on the Groundhog Day trope. So again, that was really well done. And I've never watched Palm Springs, which is like a rom-com where I believe they do relive the same day over and over again. But two people are stuck in a loop. And after reading this book, I think that I might give that movie a chance because I think I prefer the idea of the two people being stuck in the loop rather than that one character reliving the same day over and over again. So in terms of the score here, I feel like I have to give See You Yesterday a 9 out of 10. It's losing the 1 point because of the repetitiveness at the beginning, but 9 out of 10 is really good. Now moving on to the second category, was the trope good for the story? In this category, I'd say it was fine for the story. I do think there's a world where we could have removed the Groundhog Day aspect and still gotten the same conclusion, still been able to go through the nice character arc that happened in the book. I don't think that it's necessary, but I also don't think that it took away from the story. Like, it's very even keeled in terms of its impact on the story. However, I do think it was fun to see them relive the same day at college. I find that that was a lot more dynamic because college kids are allowed to do a lot more than maybe, like, let's say the loop was done in high school. There would have been a lot more limits to the things that they could do, but reliving the same day on a campus, like, there's a lot of things that you can do. So for this category, I'm going to give See You Yesterday a 7 out of 10. Last but not least, for overall enjoyment, as I've mentioned, I did find that the story was a bit slow at the beginning. It was harder for me to get into, but once I did, it was really compelling. I was having a lot of fun. I also really think that what works for See You Yesterday is the characters. Barrett Bloom has quite an interesting backstory. What happened to her in high school was really, really interesting. I don't think they've really done that. Or I haven't really seen that with a character. The characters were really well written. They had their own character arcs that they went through the story. I also love that it was set in college. There are less books about college age people, so I found that really refreshing. I wish we went a little bit deeper into some aspects of the story. Her love interest, I forget his name, has a brother who's going through a really hard time and is dealing with some pretty serious stuff. So I wish I learned more about that and how it was affecting the character. And I just wanted to learn more about him as the male lead. I won't go as far to say that the story would have benefited from dual POV, but I did feel like I was missing a lot of things, a lot of key information about him as a love interest that made him still somewhat of a mystery to me by the end. Like, I feel like I didn't completely know him, and neither did Barrett. I feel like there's some key things that we need to know about him that we're not getting. I don't know, he just felt a little bit elusive, which made me a little suspicious of him. I still found the romance cute and really compelling. I just think we could have gotten a little bit more from his character, or a little deeper into who he is as a person. I feel like the book would have benefited from a denouement, like some kind of epilogue where it shows where they ended up. I think that would have given me more peace with, what was going on with him a little bit. But overall, it's still a really good story. And I would say overall enjoyment, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Okay, I'm so happy to wrap this video up. I apologize for the negativity, the negative vibes I was giving. But, you knew this video was going to be negative. I was reading romance tropes I didn't like. Now, upon reflection, I am glad that I did this because I did push myself out of my comfort zone to read tropes that I don't usually pick up. And also, people can never say that I didn't try. When I kind of evade these tropes again in the future, I can be like, I tried it, didn't really work. Also, I want to make this clear. Just because one of the books I talked about got a low score when it came to the trope criteria does not mean that the book is not good. So, for example, Happy Place, I would rate that book 3 stars, and that's a perfectly fine rating. But in terms of the trope criteria, it did get a lower score because I was evaluating the book according to how it used the trope that I don't like in the book. So just wanted to make that clear because none of these books are dookie trash. Like, none of them are under 3 stars. It's just they're not for me and they're not my personal taste. So to wrap this up, I'll discuss if any of these books changed my mind about the tropes that I supposedly hate or don't like. When it comes to second chance romance, I think I've been solidified in my disdain for the trope. If you know, I have another reading vlog where I read 7 Days in June, which had second chance romance, and I liked that book. But I think overall still, that trope is just not for me, and I will continue to be really, really selective with the books that I pick up that have that trope in it. And I don't personally think that Happy Place is the kind of book to help someone who doesn't like second chance romance. I will say, even though The Bodyguard got a lower score when it comes to the 3 trope criterias, I do think that out of all the books I read, it was my favorite take on the trope. I really think that the premise of the story did the best at surprising me and keeping me engaged with the trope and kind of turning it on its head in a way that was enjoyable to me. I just didn't love the execution of the actual romance part, but I find that that was really separate from the trope itself. So I think that The Bodyguard actually may have changed my mind about celebrity romance. And I think I should look for more niche versions of celebrity romance. So maybe in ways that a character is famous in less conventional ways, like how he was a retired actor, like just smaller ways like that. So I don't feel like they're like a high profile celebrity. Last but not least, I still, full disclaimer, don't like the Groundhog Day trope. I don't think that just because See You Yesterday is arguably my favorite book out of the books that I've been reading in this, and I would give it 4 stars. I still don't think that I'm going to be grabbing books with that trope. However, I think I've become a lot more softened to it. I don't think it's that bad. I think that it can be done well in certain ways, and I feel like there are certain things that I can look out for, like when they're stuck in the same loop, to make me be more okay with the trope. What I really liked about this was thinking and almost intellectualizing the reasons I don't like the tropes I don't like. I feel like often when we say we don't like things, it's really easy to just say like, I just don't like it. But I found it fascinating to be able to put words to why I didn't like certain tropes. And it also makes me realize like why I like other tropes better, because they usually do the opposite of what I don't like with these tropes. So I found that really interesting. And I'm definitely going to do another video that's reading romance tropes I love, because I feel like I need to put a little more positivity into the world as well. And I think it would be fun. I just love talking about tropes that I love, because like who doesn't love to talk about that? I also would not be opposed to doing a part 2 to this video, like maybe exploring tropes that I'm like mid about. Don't know if that's as encouraging as a title, but let me know if that would be something of interest to you. And do you agree with my tropes that I don't like? Do you love them and you're like, girl, what are you talking about? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching this video. Definitely subscribe, because what? Anyone who subscribes to my channel gets 99% hotter. Yep. I don't make the rules. The rules just happen. So you should try it, do it, see what happens, and let me know. All right. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.
Darling,